Welcome to the channel Rayofhope, and this is going to be another series for SQL injection. And thank you so much for being with us. Without wasting our time, let's go ahead. Today, we're gonna cover one of the last injection, which is time-based blind SQL injection, right? Basically, guys, we talk about how to identify it. We talk about some of the scenarios. If a website has parameters, like if a website has okay, projection actually, apologies, projection, projection. If a website is projection, have projection or projecting, right? That means we can perform union over there. But if there is no projection, then but it is showing an error, we can perform error-based SQL injection over there. But in sometimes the website neither projecting, like it is not projecting anything if we are changing the parameter, and it is not even showing any error. But if it is getting blank, that means over there we can perform blind Boolean SQL injection that we have covered in our previous classes. But what if a website is not even showing the projection point, neither showing any error, it is not even getting blank, there is no response that we can found? In what case, what kind of attack we can perform? That is where this time-based SQL injection comes in action. Okay. Time-based blind injection are type of SQL injection attack that are exploit timing difference in database responses. They allow attackers to bypass traditional security measures and extract sensitive information by analyzing the time it takes for the database to respond to query. Confused, right? Don't worry, we're gonna cover it practically and you will have the understanding of it. Now just understand the concept so you can talk about it, right? Now, when to use time blind SQL injection? We just talk about it, but let me cover again. We use in those cases where we fail to extract data either by union, error-based SQL injection, or can either ask website questions or it's true or false. That means we are not even getting true or false like output, right? That we used to get in terms of blind, right? But we are not getting true and false result over here as well. So we have no like the chances to identify it, right? We have to tag it actually. So in order to extract critical information, we tamper with the server response time. Whenever a request is made to a server, it takes some time actually to fetch information and deliver to us. This is called response time. Remember this, response time. If anyone gonna ask you what is response time, a response time, or you can say a request, whenever we made a request, right, to a server, it takes some time to fetch the information and deliver to us, which is called response time. Now, if we tamper with the response time and we can extract some crucial information using blind or time-based blind SQL injection method. And how are we gonna use it? We will be covering soon. So I believe your theory must be clear, right, about time-based injection. Without wasting our time, let's go ahead. Okay, how to identify it? This is one of the important thing. We just talk about it, how to identify, like if because there's no possibilities, right? It is not showing anything, not even true and false statement. Then how we can identify it? We can do so like first and foremost, this is very important to look for areas or look for the areas or application that interact with the database, like forms fill, login, registration, feedback, comment, and etc, etc. Notification. I mean, you can find several injection points actually. You just need to go through the applications. You are parameters, cookies, and whatnot. Simple SQL injection test that we have covered in our previous video. This is input be simple SQL syntax like adding single quote to see how the application responds. If the applicator is done by the break or return any error, it could be handling errors or filtering outputs, which suggests the possible vulnerability, a blind vulnerability actually. I mean, they can just test it. Over here, you could not confirm that if the website could be vulnerable for time-based. You were just testing the initial application, providing the simple SQL queries. Okay. Now, once we see that, I mean, in one go, in union, In either, in blind, we used to know now, right, that if we are using single quote, double quote, single quote, close braces, double quote, close braces without any spaces, right? Then we used to get that we are able to balance the equation. But in terms of time-based blind SQL injection, we are not going to do so because you will not get any responses, right? Okay. Send the time delay payload. This is something which is important. Pay your attention over here. Use SQL function that intentionally delay the database response, like sleep method for MS SQL, benchmark for MySQL, MariaDB, or PG_sleep for PostgreSQL. But we will be covering only SQL, Microsoft SQL only at this point of time. Okay. Now, once we provide this method, right, we will analyze the responses. If the query evaluates as true, 1 is equals to 1, which is universal true, for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever you want to put it. The application will pause for 5 seconds or 10 seconds. I mean, it depends how many seconds you have provided. And if the query is false, there will be no delay. Right? Okay. Again, if you have any question, feel free to ask. Okay. You can just comment and I will be happy to help you. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, the time is how to exploit this. How to exploit this vulnerability. We will be covering practically as well, but understand the steps, that what steps we are going to follow. I mean, if I take example of a student, from a fact, we will simply use a SQL query, a simple SQL query. Bear clause, like we are using this select name from students, where ID was 7. And what it will return? It will return the name of the student whose ID is 7. Now, what if we use select name from the student where ID equals to Sam, and if the first character of the password is equal to A, then the sleep for 5 seconds. This is select method for SQL, right? So if the database name is started with A, then the website will delay for 5 seconds. Right? Understand this. Select name from students table. Name is the column, right? Name is the name in the column, right? From where? From students table, where ID is equal to 7. And student's name whose ID is 7, right? And if the first character of the password, like the password, if that is equals to A, the first character, then the response will sleep for, the website will respond in 5 seconds. So it will delay for 5 seconds. Okay, and then understand this. Here you can see we are asking the server to tell us the first character of the password that we just talked about. If the password starts from A, the server will respond sleep for 10 seconds or 5 seconds or 15 seconds, which means increase in response time by 10 seconds or whatever you're going to provide. And if the password does not start with A, the server will take its usual response time. In a similar way, we can predict the whole password. Like we have used substring, right? So we will be using substring right now as well. This is how we can get to know the whole password using time-based blind SQL injection as well. Your concept must be clear right now. Okay. If you have any questions again, you can ask me. I would be happy to help you. Okay. Now it's time to learn about the mitigations. What mitigation that we need to follow. This is really, really important that anyone in an interview, if you're gonna give an interview, they're gonna ask you about it. What are the mitigations do we have for this? User prepared statement, or we can say parameterized query. What does that mean? Prepared statement ensure that SQL code and user inputs are strictly separated. Again, prepared statements ensure that SQL code, this, and the user inputs are strictly separated, preventing the database from interpreting user input as a part of the query. Supported by almost all database, like this is all the SQL server. Prepared statement avoid directly interacting with the user supplied data into the queries. So if our code is not getting executed as a queries, definitely it will not give us any output, right? Limit database permission. This is really important to ensure that the database accounts used by the application have the least privilege necessary to perform the required operations. Like if an account only needs to read data, do not grant it to ability to write or delete the records. This minimizes the damage an attacker can do if they successfully exploit an SQL injection vulnerability. In stored procedure, this is really important. Stored procedure is really important. Stored procedure can be effective in controlling executing of SQL statement as they encapsulate SQL logic on the database side. Like when we implement correctly, they can limit the ability to inject SQL because the application interacts only with the predefined SQL logic rather than the raw queries. This is where the answer is. Like if the application using stored procedure, right? It will most of the time, or you can see it will only interact with the predefined SQL logic. Then any random raw query that they are going to provide. Okay, like we have more. We can use BAF as well, right? Windows application firewall, input validation, security coding practice, and whatnot. So it depends up to you. What are the mitigations you are going to suggest, right? Okay, now we are done with our theory part over here. Let's go ahead and do some practical. Okay. Let me use my Chrome actually. Firefox. For that, I'm going to use my SQLi lab. You know how to install it, right? I have already covered one video on that actually. I'm going to use the SQLi lab. Let it get open. I don't know why my Firefox is running so slow. Okay, I'm going to reset the database. How that prepare? I'm done it. Okay, finally I have reset the database. Go back. Okay. Pay your attention over here. This is going to be really important. Okay. Line time based. Single quote. This is what should I do, this or this? Double quote. Okay. What we are going to get over here? Please input ID as a parameter with numeric value. Load equals to 2. Done. Okay, and why the hell we are not getting this? Anyway, I think that there is an issue with this actually, my Firefox. Understand this. You need to look over the search bar, okay? 1. 2. Why I'm not getting this? See. Let me first refresh the page actually. Okay, we are done. Please input ID as a parameter with numeric value. That's what I'm doing. Okay, there we go, right? So now we need to understand this, what issue we were encountering actually, right? First, this is where we were, right? Let me reload this. Okay. ID is equals to 1. Run. Okay, so now we are in, right? We are in. So if I change the parameter 1 to 2, no response. If I do 3, no response. Like there's no projection, right? If I put backslash, it is not even showing any error. That means we could not perform union, we could not perform error, we could not perform blind boolean. because it is not even getting blanked. So what we can do over here, we can just try the blind time-based SQL injection. For that, what we have to do now, like first, suppose I am using single quote and sleep, open bracket, close braces, and then again, and single quote A is equal to single quote A. Again, see, we are providing 3 input over here. One is this, then slip if this input and this is truth, right? The website will sleep for how many seconds? 5 seconds, right? And if it would be false, it will throw nothing. Run. Nothing. You can see nothing happened, right? If over here I'm gonna do this double quote, nothing happened, right? Nothing happened. Okay. So now I am not gonna use single quote. I'm not gonna use double quote. I'm just gonna keep it as a spaces only. It did not work out. Okay. Single quote, close braces. Run. Okay. When you load the URL through this, you can also encode it and decode it, right? If I'm using single quote, close braces, and slip, and single quote A is equal to single quote A, right? And run it. It did not sleep for 5 seconds, right? I'm gonna use double quote now. Again, it did not. That means I may be making some mistake over here. Understand what mistakes I'm making over here. If I am doing this, right, single quote, and if I'm giving and, right, and then I'm putting sleep for 5 seconds, and A is equal to A, right? This is true. So if I'm putting like this run, no, it didn't work out. If I am giving double input, it still didn't work out. If I am putting nothing, it didn't work out. Single quote, close braces didn't work out. Double quote, close braces, it didn't work out. Guys, it is always a hit and trial method that you have to give, right? It is not just a one go game. Sometimes we have to troubleshoot the system again and again to see what mistakes we are making, right? So it could be that I may be making any mistake, but STTP okay. I recover till over it will be fine. Let me see. Yeah, we are okay. And we are not even getting error for this as well, right? Okay. So if I just do basic command to see if it is working or not, right? So I'm gonna do this and sleep for 5 seconds. 5 seconds. And A equals to A. Oh, holy shit. I was not balancing it, right? Now, see. Again, B did not get anything with single quote, right? Double quote. See, the website is loading, guys. You notice over here, the website was loading, right? Over here, website was loading. Okay, let me show you again. Okay, this was the, I put it double quote, right? And then run. See over here, right? It was loading, right? That means double quote. Double quote is something which is balancing our equation. This is the, but what if I'm not so sure that double quote is something which is balancing the equation? What if I'm gonna put over here A equals to B, which is not a true statement, obviously, right? Will I be getting the same response right now? Okay, let's go ahead and run it. Website give us the response in their usual time. That means, now understand this. Website is using what? Double quote. And A equals to A is a universal truth. When we uses A equals to A, website was showing 10. I mean, website was loading for 5 seconds, right? That means it was, the vulnerability is like we can find over here, right? So now we got to know that this is what the website is using. Okay. So what I can do? Now I need to know the database name. How I can get to know about the database name? I can say database is equal to security, enter, security. Then if it's loading for 5 seconds, see over here, pay your attention over here, right? But now I have put it that a database name is security. Is it practically possible for you to know the name of the database? No, right? It is not possible for you, right? So over here, what we can do? We can use substring. We already talked about it, substring, in our previous video. Let me use it right away. Substring, open braces, database, right? And then open braces, close braces, comma, 1, comma, 1, close braces. Then is equal to A. Again, if I do run, if I just do run, no, it did not went for 5 minutes of loading time, right? If I do B, again, it's just a usual time, right? Again, it was just a usual time. If I do like S, first database, first character. If I do this, notice it went for a 5 second of it was delaying the response for 5 seconds. That means now we got to know what the first letter of the database is S using substring, right? So similarly, if I put like, we know the database, let me just, without wasting our time, let me put 1. So if I put this second letter of first database, if I run it, again, it went for 5 seconds on loading time. That means the name of the database, second name of the database is E. What if I'm gonna put like over here 3 and then change it to C? What happened? Again, it went for 5 seconds of loading time. Observe this response actually. Got it? This is blind time-based SQL injection. Guys, I have explained it very well. If you would have again any question related to blind time-based SQL injection, feel free to comment and I would be happy to help you. Do like, subscribe and share your views because it motivates me. And do comment if you need or if you ask any new topic you want me to cover. Definitely I'm gonna cover it. Thank you.